This will be my fourth video of the Hypertrophy Fundamental series, in which I will be speaking about rep ranges. Have you ever wondered what is the best rep range for muscle growth, or how big of an impact does it make on your progress? In today's video, I will be explaining all of this, so stay tuned and find out. But before we dive in, I actually have a funny story for you guys from when I first started lifting a while ago. So everyone in my neighborhood used to say, if you want to get more shredded, you need to do higher reps with lighter weight. And if you want to build more muscle, you need to do lower reps with heavier weight. So that was like the OG idea of every gym bro back in the day in my neighborhood. Even so, people still made progress using that. So that's quite awesome. I actually have another funny story for you. This one I came up with myself. So due to the fact that I was training 7 times a week, I was sore all day. So I came up with the idea that you can get rid of muscle soreness by doing what caused it in the first place. So that was one of the reasons why I was training 7 days a week, to not be sore anymore. By the way, don't do that. You can grow muscle in a wide variety of rep ranges in the 6 to 30 range, but each category has its advantages and disadvantages. For example, training in what would be considered a low rep range, like 6 to 8, might be more taxing on your joints on the long term, but it can be more time efficient because the sets are much shorter. Furthermore, it will be harder to have strict form on low rep ranges. For some of you, it might be very difficult to reach muscular failure due to the high level of discomfort associated with higher reps. As for training in a higher rep range, like 15 to 20 reps, this might lead to metabolic fatigue with impaired ability to recover, although this is not very significant. But working in a higher rep range can be useful for learning good form and to maintain good form when approaching muscular failure. Now let's speak about muscle fibers. Should you use different rep ranges for type 1 and type 2 fibers? I don't think it makes a big difference. As long as you train close to failure or to failure and using a variety of rep ranges, you will recruit all the muscle fibers. At the beginning of a high rep set, in the first few reps, you will be using more type 1 fibers and not so much type 2 fibers, but as you get closer to the end of a set and approach failure, more type 2 fibers will be recruited. By doing that, you will get the benefit of training all muscle fibers and maximize growth. Now, what I personally do for most of the exercises. This is what I came up with myself by trial and error. I'm not saying this is what you should do. I will put a picture of everything. You can pause the video and look if you want. As for my recommendations, a practical rep range from my point of view would be between 6 to 20 reps. It balances mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. You should use a wide variety of rep ranges to ensure progressive overload and have maximum growth. You probably noticed exercises with a shorter range of motion by nature, like calf raises or rows. They will benefit from doing higher rep ranges in order to compensate the shorter range of motion. For exercises that have a bigger range of motion, like squats,
I think doing lower rep ranges will be more appropriate. That doesn't mean you can't do it differently, as it will still do the job, but it's just more adequate that way. Certain exercises work better with certain rep ranges. I personally use a lower rep range for heavier weights based exercises, a medium rep range for medium weights, and a high rep range for lighter weights based exercises. So generally I use 6 to 15 for hypertrophy, as it allows me to have good technique on most lifts, have good range of motion. I am able to get close to failure without burning my CNS, and the weights are heavy enough in this rep range to have enough muscular tension. It's not a bad idea to go by feel for some exercises and figure out yourself what works best for you and what makes it enjoyable. Certain rep ranges are more suitable for certain exercises, as I've found out myself. So I haven't actually did any research about what rep ranges should I use for specific exercises. I just tried multiple rep ranges and used what seemed logical to do based on how I feel when performing specific exercises with specific rep ranges. Training with high rep ranges close to failure or to failure will be more painful, but doing them will help you get more accustomed to pain, and you will be able to withstand it better, so that when you do a low rep set to failure, it will seem easier to do. I personally don't go over 20 reps simply because the pump and the burn become so overwhelming that it prevents the muscle from being the limiting factor. Also, for example, doing high rep deadlifts, like over 20 reps, will most likely lead to cardiovascular failure and not muscular failure, since there are many muscles used during a deadlift. Training to failure with low and high reps will be a bit different, because not going to failure on a low rep exercise, for example, if you want to do 7 reps and you leave 1 rep in the tank and only do 6 reps, you basically lost about 14% of possible gains if we assume training to failure leads to 100% gains. If you want to do 15 reps and you leave 1 rep in the tank and do only 14, you only lost 6% of possible gains. So this is something to keep in mind as well. By the way, I got this idea from basement bodybuilding. Alright, that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment and subscribe for more videos like this.